Hello everyone, it's me again. And here's another what if video today. So today's video will be, what if Garmadon was never brought back in Sons of Garmadon? I think his return act could have been prevented easily. I feel like it could have easily been prevented. It actually could have been. So, how could this have happened? Maybe the ninja would have been faster at taking the mask one by one. Or more likely, they could have used the tornado of creation to prevent a resurrection like this from happening. And all the Sons of Garmadon, in the end, would be arrested. That part obviously wouldn't change. Do I see a point to change it? No, I don't. But now the question is, how does this affect the future of Ninjago? Obviously, Hunted wouldn't happen. Nor would the events of the rest of the season. I could imagine Lloyd going to Cryptarium to meet Harumi from time to time. And maybe get more information as to what she planned on doing with Garmadon and how she planned on bringing him back. I could even picture Harumi telling Lloyd about the Oni, like maybe she would have dreams or visions of the Oni returning to attack Ninjago, that kind of thing. Speaking of the Oni, they would eventually invade Ninjago. And Lloyd would decide to break Harumi out because reasons. Now with Harumi, it would be harder, because unlike Garmadon, she doesn't have any powers. So Lloyd decides to come up with a solution. What if he could do something about this? I think he can teach her spinjitzu, honestly. I feel like he can do that. And maybe she would somehow get Garmadon's elemental powers of destruction. I don't know how, maybe because Garmadon's powers would transfer to another person, even though I believe that's more so. I would rather go the whole reincarnation thing, but because Harumi was alive when Garmadon killed the Great Devourer when her parents died, yeah, that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So I could imagine Harumi having an elemental power of some kind. Like maybe Lloyd didn't know, nor did the other ninjas. And no one knew because she wanted to keep that a secret. I don't know what that would be. Illusions? Life and death? I don't really know. But, alas. Though, in the end, the ninja would manage to defeat the Oni. They would. Now, how would March of the Oni end? I don't think it would have ended all that differently. I feel like Harumi still could have left, but maybe telling Lloyd that I promise we'll see each other again, and possibly would blow a kiss. But Lloyd, however, they wouldn't share like a kiss, because I feel like it would be forced. And at this point, so yeah, she would leave. Obviously, Mystery would still be alive. He would still be alive. I did forget about him. But how would this affect the Wild Brain era as a whole? Secret to the Forbidden Spinjitzu, I don't think would have changed at all. The only real change I think would happen would be Lloyd telling Akita about his experience with Harumi and Garmadon. That would have been completely different. Prime Empire wouldn't change at all, but instead of Lloyd fighting an avatar of Harumi, he would be fighting an avatar of his father. Well, the evil side of Garmadon. Master of the Mountain wouldn't change, except Lloyd may have gone through his trust issues a lot sooner with Vanya. Maybe when he first met her. I don't know, honestly. I really don't know. But probably at that point. The island wouldn't change. Seabound wouldn't change. Now, what about crystallized? I can honestly picture Harumi filling in the role of Garmadon, honestly. But who would fill in Harumi's role for the Council of the Crystal King? This wasn't my first idea, but I'm going to say someone like Klaus, probably. And Lloyd would be in shock to know that Klaus is working with the Council and the Crystal King, like. And he would also question, how did Klaus escape? That would need to be explained. But I doubt Lloyd would have been, like, trying to change Klaus's mind. Instead, he would be on the run from Klaus. And this can lead to some fun, action-packed chase sequence that maybe Harumi could save Lloyd from. Like, maybe she jumps out of nowhere and Lloyd doesn't expect that. And he thanks her and she takes him to the bounty, yada yada yada. We could even see more of the relationship grow. Now, to the final battle. Rather than Harumi doing a fake out death, I wouldn't say she would die, but Wu and Harumi would be there to help Lloyd. However, Harumi would end up being injured during the fight, and Wu would die. You know when Garmadon fakes his death in front of Lloyd? Yes, that would be Wu. Wu actually dies. Like what should have happened in Crystallize. Lloyd would then fight the Overlord, but because of the death of his uncle, he would be in control of his Oni form far longer, and he uses it to destroy the Overlord. Or at least weaken him. While the Golden Ultra Dragon would destroy him in the end. While he takes Harumi out. Now, what would happen to Klaus? I think Klaus honestly would have been dealt with. Like, he would have been caught. Oh, and one more thing. Mr. F wouldn't exist. Mr. E would be in his place. And possibly at the end, Harumi and Lloyd can begin the relationship properly this time. And Christopher can still exist, but Lloyd would plant it as a memorial to not only his father, but his uncle, because that was their birth home. But then, come Dragon's Rising, nothing really changes. So yeah, that's what if Garmadon was never brought back. I do admit I was concerned as to how they were going to bring Garmadon back. I was concerned that would make his sacrifice in Season 4 and of course his redemption in Season 2 all pointless. But in the end, I actually like this, what they did with Garmadon in Seasons 8 to 10. I was actually a fan of that. And I do believe had Garmadon never remained, Garmadon never turned good, he would have been like that. He definitely would have. Speaking of which, I am announcing ahead of time I am playing on a video called What If Garmadon Remained Evil at the End of Season 2? But anyways, I will see you all later. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, why did I give Hermie elemental powers? Well, this wasn't my initial idea, but I had to because of the whole tornado of recreation needing everyone. So Hermie would have had to, had to help regardless. And the reveal that she had elemental powers was something I didn't think about at first, but I was like, I had no other choice. Initially, I wasn't supposed to do that because I wanted to remain as grounded as possible, but in the end, she had elemental powers because when everyone was doing the tornado of recreation, they all had elemental powers. So with Harumi doing the tornado of recreation, she needed elemental powers. So yeah. Anyways, jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin.